Deep blue underneath the ocean will control the ocean wide. From down, down underneath the sea.
I'm Rear Admiral Thomas M. Dykers, retired. The story you're about to see concerns an achievement which may never again be duplicated. To hear this story, we will go to the submarine school at New London and sit in with the officer students training for duty in the silent service.
The training given you here in New London has been thorough, up to the minute, and exact. You've read books, heard lectures, solved problems, and practiced theory. Further application of what you've learned will come in due time. However, I should like to warn you that the most valuable asset as a submariner does not necessarily come from these classrooms. Whatever your academic or intellectual capacity may be, nothing can take the place of your own ingenuity. That ingenuity is the greatest factor in the success of a commanding officer. It was demonstrated to a high degree by our own skippers during the war and also by the enemy's. I should like to choose an example to illustrate the point. An enemy example. His name was Gunther Prien, captain of the U-47, German Kriegsmarine. When war started on 3 September 1939, Prien was already an experienced skipper and a favorite of Commodore Dönitz, commander of the U-boat fleet. Dönitz wasted no time in activating his pet plan to strike a crippling blow against the British Navy. On 8 September, Prien was called in and offered the assignment. It called for a man whose seamanship and self-control was above question. Prien qualified in every respect. The duty was dangerous. Prien was to take the U-47 into the home base of the British fleet at Scapa Flow and wreak destruction on the ships anchored there. It was not a new plan. During World War I, 2 U-boats had been destroyed attempting the same mission. The second boat had been manned entirely by officers. Also of importance to Dönitz was the fact that in 1919, the sailors of the German Navy scuttled their ships in Scapa Flow rather than turn them over to the British.
Now, what do you say to it, Lieutenant?
I am honored that you have chosen me, Herr Admiral.
Here are the 2 entrances used by the British. Here we once failed because of submarine nets, and here we failed because it was too closely guarded. Both conditions remain. All other channels are blocked by sunken ships, except this one, at Kirk Sound. Now, intelligence has learned that only 2 blocked ships are sunk here, and between them is space enough for 1 U-boat to pass.
More space is not needed, sir.
Another blocked ship sunk in the channel, and our plan is finished. I need not tell you the importance of your success. You will make Scapa Flow the graveyard for the British, that it was for us in 1919.
In the weeks that followed, Dönitz and Prien carefully studied air reconnaissance, navigation data, and tide charts. Prien's biggest problem would be the high and fast-running tide, which flowed at speeds up to 10 knots and was capable of dashing any ship against the rocks. With this tide behind him, he would have to pass between the 2 block ships. On his return, he would have to buck the tide with the U-boat's top speed of 16 knots. Dönitz decided that the new attempt would be made when the new moon, affording complete darkness, coincided with suitable tides. Both these conditions would be fulfilled on the night of October 13. On 9 October, the customary send-off was given the U-47. As far as the crew and their families were concerned, it was a routine patrol. Nothing had been left to chance. Air reconnaissance over Scapa Flow was doubled. Agents in England reported every movement of the British fleet. Only a handful of high officers and Hitler himself knew of Prien's destination. The U-47 was escorted out of the harbor, and after receiving the customary well-wishing signals from her escort, submerged to begin the 4-day voyage northward. Prien found his path in the North Sea clear of British ships and made his run without contact until 3 days later. What appeared to be an innocent-looking sailing vessel crossed his bow. Suspecting that his periscope had been sighted, Prien set us to investigate. Prien had to know the nature of this craft. Had put into operation a fleet of radio picket ships to signal the course and location of enemy submarines. Prien could take no chances. After destroying the picket ships, Prien changed his course westward. If the radio message had been received by the British, patrol planes would be out looking for him. On October 12, Prien received word from German intelligence that an aircraft carrier, several battleships, 10 cruisers, and many small warships lay at anchor in Scapa Flow.
Good news, Captain? Very good, Heinz. You may as well know where we're headed.
But I don't understand, Captain. The speed of these warships is far beyond us.
We are not waiting for them outside the harbor.
You mean, what, Captain?
Intelligence has found us a way, Heinz.
Why don't you tell the men, sir? They would be as excited as I am.
That is why I'm not telling them until tomorrow night. The excitement must be fresh. It gives them less time to consider the danger.
On the morning of 13 October, the U-47 cruised in Pentland Firth, 50 miles from Scapa Flow. The battery recharge had just been completed when trouble suddenly zoomed down from the sky. 3 British planes attacked before Prien could submerge. By evasive action, Prien maneuvered out of danger and continued submerged toward the flow. That afternoon, Prien bottomed and waited for nightfall. The crew had been briefed and awaited the task before them. The precise and careful preparations had only to be executed. But he knew that between conception and execution lay the bones of many a U-boat.
It's soon dark enough to surface, Herr Captain.
Plenty of time, Heinz.
When are we going in, sir?
After midnight. Our chances will be better then. Heinz, you will soon have your own command. Tell me, with a tide of 7 to 8 knots behind you, what speed would you make?
4, maybe 5 knots.
Why?
To keep control of the boat.
Good. And if you hit an obstruction?
Well, to back off, that's out of the question. I'd lose control. Be knocked sideways against it. I'd swing rudder hard over and speed up if necessary.
Exactly. And hope you would skirt the obstruction. Because when you hit it, the damage is already done.
A most difficult situation at best, Herr Captain.
Well, let us hope we do not have to face it.
But you said intelligence gave us the way.
Heinz, if there's one thing I live by, it is never to trust the intelligence of others. At least not without the suspicion that they may be wrong.
Yes, sir.
Now, according to our information, the block ships are sunk in shallow water. You will tell your lookouts to watch for surface turbulence.
Yes, sir, Captain.
All right. Now let us study this chart, so we can find the opening without having to back down.
When the U-47 surfaced later that night, Prien received his first surprise.
Why is it so bright? It's almost like day.
The Aurora Borealis. Naturally overlooked by our intelligence.
We can't go in here now. They can't help but see us.
It heightens our risk.
Perhaps tomorrow night, sir.
Will you tell the heavens not to shine on us?
But, Captain, the brilliance of the Borealis changes from night to night.
Yes. And tomorrow it may be even brighter. What's more, the British fleet will not wait on anchor for our convenience.
Then we are going in?
Yes. Pass the word to be doubly watchful.
Yes, Captain.
Right 10.
Right 10.
East of 5.
East of 5.
Hard left rudder.
Hard left rudder. While in operation, of course, Prien steered the U-47 fully surfaced through the narrow channel of the ground. Without past low water, the tide was flowing strongly back inshore. The boat grazed one of the block ships, but escaped without damage. In the flow, Prien swept slow toward main anchorage. Surprise awaited him.
Empty. Of all the bad luck. We'll try the north side.
Left, Captain.
One is a battleship. Behind her, I think, a cruiser. Go over.
Prien identified the battleship as the Royal. The ship he took to be the Repulse was actually the Oblast aircraft carrier Pegasus. Because the battleship was anchored alongside the carrier, he decided to sink it first. Should one of his torpedoes miss, it find its mark in the other ship. The U-47 moved to fire under the nose of the rolling destroyer. In sight of the Northern Lights, it was able to remain protected.
I think he is turning south.
They will suspect us until we fire. We'll run.
All torpedoes in.
Very well. Bye.
2,000 yards and a calm sea. It's like
With only one difference. Our target is the Royal Oak. Fire one. Fire two.
Of 5 torpedoes, 4 forward and 1 aft, was lifted at the Royal Oak. His crew impatiently. Finally, one explosion was heard, and he saw the Royal Oak shut with impact.
One of 5. Of all luck.
hit the stern. We are the fastener.
All head for. Right. Reload tubes.
Headed for Kirk Sound, ready to reaching the middle of Scapa Flow, he changed his mind.
I see no reactions. No light or warmth.
Maybe they think it's an internal explosion. All engines stop.
Another attack.
Depends on what happens.
Captain, it's bright. While reloading?
No. If we have to run for it, we must be ready. Hold on until 0 feet. See how things are going. All right. Tell them to hurry.
Last time for reloading an A-boat is 20 minutes. The train's men equal this time.
Nearly ready, Captain. Harness droppers up and depth batting on the torpedoes was exactly alike. Explosives must have been detected.
How many more eggs in our basket? That would be.
To be fired.
A brilliant observation, Heinz. I wouldn't have myself. Right full rudder. Right full water. Half speed. Half speed. On. Going in closer. Now check each torpedo. Captain.
Prien had two reasons to go in closer. The first, short distance of the torpedo run and minimize the action of the current on the torpedo. The second was to take advantage of the surrounding hills. The U-boat silhouette would merge into the background and make it more difficult.
Seems they decided it was a little expensive.
Up there, Captain.
Flow is impregnable to U-boat attack. They know that. Fire one.
Firing at the point green, Prien loosed his salvo with the Royal Oak. The battleship literally blown into the air. The British marshal against what would be either an air or U-boat attack. Destroyers spread the channels off the enemy. There was still no fleet existed, and Prien knew it. At flank speed, the U-47 could only make 7 knots over ground against the Russian tide. Her wake was like a finger of death. At Prien's speed, he would stand still in the current.
Captain.
The shoreline was almost Prien's until.
You saw us, Captain.
We take the chance he doesn't know a U-boat from a British submarine.
Prien's decision was the right one. Any change in tactics would have made him vulnerable to the searchers. Between success and failure now cruised a lone British destroyer. In order to enter the channel, Prien had to vacate the protection of the shore. Stiff with tension, the bridge watch stared toward the oncoming destroyer. It looked like the end. With their backs to the shore and only one way out, Prien could have submerged to avoid visual detection by the destroyer and made his surface run out later. But submerged, he ran the substantial risk of being picked up on the destroyer's ASDIC sound gear. Prien decided to play out his hand and remain surfaced.
If we could only read their signals.
If they've seen us, they won't attack without verification.
A U-boat for a battleship. We still win, Herr Kapitän.
Prien considered changing course to move back to the shadows of the shore. But any change in the line of his wake would be sure to bring attention from lookouts on the destroyer. It was just possible that his wake was being taken for the swirling eddies dashing through the narrow passes. When it seemed impossible for the destroyer to miss discovery of the U-boat, it suddenly turned away and sped in the opposite direction.
How can we fail, Heinz, with enemies such as these?
The destroyer gone for the moment, Prien turned to the tortuous business of getting back out the narrow channel, this time against the swift running tide. His luck held. He made his escape unharmed and undetected. The U-47 returned to Germany to receive the acclaim and awards that were justly hers. The British chivalrously recognized the skill and daring of Prien's action. For the following year and a half, Prien and the U-47 played havoc with British shipping, sinking a total of 245,000 tons by 9 March 1941. On 10 March, Prien crossed the path of a convoy south of Iceland and drove in for the kill. Before he could fire his torpedoes, he was sighted by HMS Wolverine. The improved anti-submarine tactics of the British were just being felt, and their sting was deadly. Prien turned to run. Had he stayed on the surface, he might have succeeded. On 10 March 1941, the U-47 was destroyed by HMS Wolverine. There were no survivors. We will never know what part Prien's contempt for the enemy played in making his fatal mistake. One thing is certain. Ingenuity feeds on danger, and the proper awareness of danger can only come from a proper respect for your enemy.
I'll be back in a moment. There are a couple of interesting footnotes to the story you've just seen. On the day before U-47 made its successful entry into Scapa Flow, the British were in the process of towing an old vessel from London to close a gap in Kirk Sound. For several weeks previous, the Admiralty had desired to move this additional block ship. The only thing that delayed it was negotiation over the price of the ship. The week of March 10th, 1941 was a bitter one for the Germans. Prien was only one of 3 U-boat aces who met his fate at the hands of the same group of anti-submarine vessels. Sunk on March 16th was U-100, commanded by Captain Joachim Schepke, with 230,000 tons of shipping to his credit. A few hours later, U-99, commanded by Captain Otto Kretschmer, top man with 282,000 tons, was destroyed, and Captain Kretschmer then taken prisoner along with most of his crew. Be with us again when we will bring you another true story from the history of the silent service.
And lie through the deep blue underneath the ocean, will control the ocean wide. underneath the sea. Safe and sound will pass the word in the future's yet to be. That will say, as long as there's a submarine underneath the sea. So rig for dive and make the down, down, go down, down, underneath the ocean. Fearless men will find me down in the deep blue.